introduce the DZ team, guys. There may have been some of you earlier listening to my dulcet tones, so forgive me, you're going to have me for about another 10 to 20 minutes. On the DZ then, same DZ safety officer, Flight Lieutenant Dominic Compton David.
RAF Falcons
Give him a round of applause, everybody.
Parachute display team.
That's it, big wave, big wave. And alongside him again, special equipment technician, Corporal Ryan.
Hope you stay with me to the end.
And before I introduce this next special equipment technician, he's asked me to let you know his very own Corporal Edmund Dyson. And last but not least, not forgetting our driver, who without we would not be here today, we have Mr. Paul Rutters Radcliffe. Excellent, guys. Right, okay, guys, just going to talk you through a couple of our sponsors if you weren't here pretty fast. They are on the same height, so you can look at them right. The flag team will separate, and the rest of the team will create the world-famous carousel. It'll start slowly, guys, but the circle will come, and the column of smoke will be seen very soon. The two other parachutists are the flag team, which they will deploy the ensign of the RAF and the Union Jack. As you can see, the carousel is going spinning around there, and once it's completed, the flight sergeant will come out and start the saber chase. You must stagger yourself on the saber chase, as the people from this morning have seen, so that you can be up and back from the parachutes in front of you. The turns that he will put in now to set him up for his landing pattern will be only 90 degrees or 180 degrees. As you can see, they'll turn in nice and gently and nice and slowly.
I'll be down in a minute or two.
Me or the teddy bear? Oh, both, is it? So as you can see, they're coming in, they're setting themselves up for the landing pad. When they come over your head now, guys, they are less than 1,000 feet above you. So soon they will be able to hear you, so you start getting ready. When I say clap, then that is the time to start clapping. That'll be when they're landing, and I am shouting out their names. As you can see, they're moving themselves in for the landing pad. When they come in, the odds will be on the orange cross, and the evens will be on the green cross. They're probably about 500 to 700 feet now, guys, so when they get to about 300, that is when they will be able to hear you. They will start to go over the DZ now, with the columns of smoke behind them, deploying their final smoke on their leg. This is all done while doing the maneuvers of the saber chase. When they're coming in, as you can see from the side, that amazing saber chase indicated by the red smoke. They're coming up to about 300 feet now, guys, so start making some noise. Otherwise, they will not know where to land. They can hear you. They are only a few hundred feet above your head. Okay, so they are going to be coming into their downwind leg now, so they will be passing over this stand here. Make sure you make some noise, clap some loud, and make some noise. The last man is the team coach. They will turn in now and they'll start their crosswind leg. What we will do now, learn. Good. Up in there we have Sergeant Greg Hasselby. Going in we have Sergeant Marcus Shields. Followed by Sergeant Aaron Oates. Then we have Sergeant Luke Riddle. Followed by Sergeant Andy Lynch. And on the flanks we have the ensign, Flight Lieutenant Adam Kearns, and Sergeant Michael Atkinson on the UJ. Give it up, RAF Falcons Parachute display team. Make some noise! Okay, guys, what they will do now, they will take up all their parachute equipment, their parachute, their helmets, their altimeters, and their smokes, making sure that it is all safely put on the ground. Once they've done that, then they will take a knee, and they will wait for the commands of the RAF Falcons Flight Lieutenant Dominic Compton Davis.
Well, what a way to get the show underway, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. Now on to the tour. And we've got to come to the biggest combine on display today. Say class A800 Lexion. Now it's got a 1080 or 30 foot head on it. Should have the 40 foot head on it. Last year class had the A900 Lexion, which is one of my favourite combines. This is possibly in my top 10 favourite combines. The A800 Lexion. In fact, it is in my top 10 favourite combines. .26 horsepower, drain tank of 16,000 litres. What a beast. Well done, class, again for having the largest combine on site today. Here we have a massive horse drill. Again, do you want to get a model of that? Got a little class tedder. Got class Axos 312. Possibly the smallest tractor on display today. We have a Arian 660. And a class Scorpion telehandler. Definitely having a sit in here later. A Action 830 night version. And the biggest tractor on display last year, but not so this year, because we've got something bigger. This is the Action 960 TerraTrack. And a Stewart Solly's trailer. That's it for class. Tiny sugar beet section this year. Here we have a Moore's sugar beet gatherer. It's not a harvester, it's a gatherer. It gathers the sugar beet into there and then it empties into the lorry. And here we have a Roper Panther sugar beet harvester.
Do you know what it is? It's called a mouse.
I like the Tiger better. There's a nice little setup in Ben Burgess. 6R 155 with a Bunnings ship walloper. A little loader as well. This was the biggest tractor on display back in 2023. The 8R410. Seen this year with a Vaderstat drill. Gorgeous setup. I do want the model of that as well. Another 6R, we've got 6R 155 again with a Kuhn fertiliser. Here we have a nice little setup, a 6M200, again notice the two lights, Bailey trailer. The second biggest combine on display this year. It's a John Deere brand new S7 800. No, S7 900 rather, I think. No one in between, it's the 850. 616 horsepower. Definitely having a sit in that later. In fact, we'll do that now. And we're sitting in a brand new John Deere S7 850. Live here at the Royal Norfolk Show for the 4th year in a row. Unprecedented levels of comfort, greater efficiency and exceptional frame quality. All backed up by John Deere precision ag technology. Powerful connected. There's a massive grain tank of 14.1 thousand litres. It also has 626 horsepower. Choice for both arable farms and contractors. One combine, all right. Easily identified by their iconic styling, they also share the same premium cab as our flagship X9 combine. Got a 6R 155 down there. Highlights include panoramic vision, air-conditioned comfort, and a ventilated seat with its own massage function. A touchscreen entertainment system, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, gives you the freedom to personalise. And here we have another 6R 155. With a Grimmy planter. Here we have a 6R 175, this time with a Kuhn mower. Here we have a 6R 185 with a Kuhn round baler. Two more Deeres to go. Here we have a 6R 215. Here we have John Deere's biggest tractor was on display, but it's not their biggest tractor. But it's the one that's the biggest tractor that's on display here. And I have a model of this. It's the 90X 640. We'll be having the biggest one last. Can you imagine, folks? We have a tractor bigger than this. Not by much, only by 5 horsepower. Oh, there's the front of it. I can see that come down the road though. There's the back. It's just a monster. But I said it's not the biggest tractor on display here today. That's coming up at the end. Well, not the end of the show, but the end of the tour. The end of the show will feature the marching band. But we're heading over to the Grand Ring again for show jumping. Back soon, folks.
One of them, NMS Henderson and Laura.
Okay, folks, we have some show jumping.
Quicker, 50.72, and they've been quicker and quicker and quicker and unbeatable. And it is Laura running into the lead, 50.72. Sam Ward.
My favourite events, show jumping.
Another clear, 64.72 then, 62.42 rather, 62.42. Quick time, really pushed on, but it is 1:20 earlier on with this horse, Neversfield. Time to beat is 50.72. Just the one down there, Vidal, 62.57 there, Vidal, Burnham, and then this field. Laura running still leading the way.
He's probably going down there.
It starts and then take the first one.
Already take He's pooing.
Oh, that was too soon.
He was pooing.
I think I was just kicking up mud.
Yeah, he was kicking it.
My ankle.
Oh, I like the light.
'Really good time over the last at the wing up there. It is clear. It is 4:48. And Berliner Loft WW.
Yeah, perfect, thank you. Oh yeah. No, I wasn't told that. I was told they were being delivered today. You're joking. Right, okay, well.
And that what? Left you up? Right.
What?
It's on
Maybe the problem with the grass.
Yeah.
It doesn't like the feeling.
So it wants to be lifted up because of the grass.
See how frustration on out the RAF is they've gone now to cut the half and teleport, ripped out, now got no power.
57 seconds it is, but 8 balls there for Zoe Smith and Berliner Love WW. JP Sheffield now. Third ride of the day for JP and Blue O'Brien.
Then turn around.
Well, that is what
Like to take them on there.
So I got another one, sorry. Toby, you got me one more.
Yeah, which was myself. Yeah, yeah.
Why go big gap?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Cheers. Take care. Bye bye.
We go clear.
Up and over the last, it is clear all the way, not going to trouble the leaderboard, but it is the all-important clear, 61.13 there for JP Sheffield.
Well, then we better go over to the grass then. Somebody's going to sit.
Clear it is, 61.72, another good clear, 61.72 for Kelly Hassel. And no, it is Tom Lipsey. Izzy Bradley and Snipe in time.
Some areas I've got no signal, mate. Yeah, that's fine, mate. Saturday, yeah. Hold on, still only out here, yeah?
Are we done?
We're going to make our way to the left.
It is Izzy Bradley and Snipe in time, so now it is the turn for Tom Lipsey. Rennick still leading the way.
And now we come on to my favourite part of the show, the combines and tractors. This here is the new John Deere T6 800. It has a grain tank capacity of 11,000 litres and 455 horsepower. There's a front view of it. not the biggest combine on show here, that'll be coming up later. Got a nice little contraption here, a John Deere 6M165 with a Kuhn drill. And that's the front view. Tilts the M instead of the R because it's got 2 lights at the top instead of 3. And here we've got one of my favourite tractors, the Case IH Puma 260.
Yeah, 100%.
There's the front view. Now on to the selection of classic tractors. Selection of Fordsons here. Be Super Dexters and Super Majors. Got a gorgeous Ford 5000 there. Wonder if that's the same one what I saw at the Village Classic Tractor Show a couple of months ago. And here we have a tractor of my childhood, a Ford 7610. The D registration, so it would have been 1986, which would have made me 3. Next to that we have a roadless 95. A David Brown 850. Classic John Deere. Here we have a Field Marshal. Massey 175. I do like the 135 better though. Nice Charms. Speaking of the 135, there's a nice looking pair of them. Finishing this nice little selection of classic tractors, we have a Massey Ferguson 35. Got this coming up anytime soon. We have a New Holland T7 340. It's my favourite tractor. Can't wait to see that on the ring in a bit. So a nice front view of the beast. 340 horsepower. And I want a model of it. Speaking of models, I have this combine. 8700 Lexion with the 40-foot 1230 Convio header. What a beast. Can't wait to see that in action. So folks, more of that tractor. My favourite tractor, I've got to get some footage of it. It's hauling a Richard Weston trailer as well. Go for a front on view of that 8700 Lexion. That massive 40-foot header. Beautiful. A nice little setup here as well. A John Deere 6R 155 with an R962 spreader. Not spreader, sprayer. Again, tells the R because you've got the 3 lights on the top there. Got a nice little Fent on display today, a 618 Vario. And we have a 240. And next door to that we have a JCB Fast Track 4220, the most popular fast track in Norfolk. Got an Amazon cultivator on that. And if you can't hear it, we're in the, well, about to go into the Funfair section. But so, be heading there in a minute. And it looks like we've got a classic harvest on display today as well. We've got a Fordson tractor over there, the plough, the gorgeous Massey 135 with a seed drill, an old Case combine. So again, this will be coming up later. Stay tuned for that. It's Funfair time. That's my favourite thing actually, sponsor cars. No way you're going to get me on there. Looks quite fun though. I'm a too older bunny these days. Went on this Pleasure Hill once. Not Pleasure Hill, Pleasure Beach. Felt a bit sick after coming off it. Last ride. It's a pencil. And they got one of these at Pleasure Beach. Well, that was also penultimate ride because this is the last ride. Runaway Train. And you can't beat a bit of Backstreet Boys as well. I think it's the third time I've heard that song today. Now we come on to the emergency vehicles section. One of my favourite things, the fire engine. Brand new as well. Got an ambulance. Again, looks brand new.
Your tokens now to ride infinity.
A police boat for patrolling the river. It's probably the River Gear and Wensum. And obviously got the Great Ooze as well in King's Lynn. So got a police van. Panning round, we have gorgeous fire engine, a massive fire engine. Yeah, get it all in there. Another Air Force fire engine. Army is well represented here today.
I think a lot of
Now we have some classic cars, not classic cars, sports cars. I bet this is fun. Red Arrow's Flight Simulator. Another sports car. I like this one. Now we come to a little selection of lorries. A huge Volvo. Selection of deaths. Hope you're enjoying this tour. Got a selection of Scanias. We've got another fire engine, it's a Scania as well. We've got no classic fire engines this year. Last two lorries. Right, got a selection of army vehicles before we head over to the agriculture display. Nice Willys Jeep with a 50 calibre machine gun on it. When I was a little boy, I'd probably been living in this bit. Really loved army stuff. I still do. Right, last one. We're heading over to the agriculture display. Back for more soon, folks.
There was not hardly any mechanisation within the farming industry at that time.
We have
simple forms of
the agriculture
mechanisation,
display.
horses pulling one pair of ploughs, binders,
Got some old
and
stuff
then
this year.
stationary traction thrashing machines operated by steam power traction
But we also have some new stuff.
So the first real mechanisation started to come
Had
in,
that model
and our
combine,
first
apart from mine's the
example
wheel
of
one
that
and not the tracked.
is a Ford Tenet, 1944.
Oh, same age as my dad.
The original assembly plants for the Fordson was Cork in Ireland and Dagenham, Essex. And here we have a very good example of a Ford Tenet, Bergen's diesel engine, and you can see behind we're towing a 2-furrow plough, non-reversible. If you can remember, or you can't remember, I'm young as well, but it was towed with a horse before as a single furrow. So this was the first mechanisation with an
My
engine
favourite Massey
pulling a
tractor,
plough.
Massey 135. The Massey Ferguson seed drill.
So just coming on to the plough is an example from Ransom, Sims and Jeffries,
Got
which
one of them
is
being
an
for by
Ipswich, Suffolk-based company.
T6 155 earlier this year.
And as I was just reminded by a colleague here, during another war, it was the Land Army girls that were actually operating these machines, because most of the gentlemen, the young men, had obviously gone to support us in the World War. So following behind the Fordson, we have Massey Ferguson 135, 6-speed transmission, and that has got a little Massey Ferguson seed drill behind. So in simple terms, we're going to tell the story in more full detail shortly. But what we're doing at the moment, if you can imagine, we're turning the soil over, we're then drilling it, and then very shortly we're going to bring in a combine harvester. We're talking past at the moment, so this is how the operations used to happen just after the war, before we get to the real modern technology. So an example of a combine harvester. Here we've got a case in country. Very kindly lent to us from John White. The case combine harvester actually wasn't that common in Norfolk and Suffolk. So this combine was built by the company J.I. Case from Racine, Wisconsin in America. We would have had equivalent combines over here as well in that era, built from the companies Class, Ransom, Sims and Jeffries. The Massey Harris was probably a very popular combine up in Norfolk, together with the Alice Chalmers, which is an industry that we don't recognise necessarily anymore.
1968.
The combine here today has got a 10-foot cut. The modern combine we're going to show you very shortly has got a 40-foot cut. So that gives you some comparison on where we are with outputs. Very simply, as a pair of scissors cutting along at the front, which clips the base of the crop. The crop's conveyed up into a threshing drum. The threshing drum separates the stalk to the seed. We put the seed in the tank and we collect the seed, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more very shortly. So very, very quickly, and I appreciate this quickly, we've just taken you through the process of preparing a field, getting the land or the soil ready, drilling the soil, and then combining, harvesting the crop. As I mentioned earlier on, we're going to concentrate on the crop of barley for this presentation and talk about the uses of barley. So I'm going to take you back, if you can imagine this plot of field, or this field shall we say, as if it was July, August of last year. So we're standing in this plot of land August 2024. And one of the first things we GPS technology in the buggy itself, so every time that auger goes down it's logging a point, it's collecting the soil in the bin. For today's purposes we're not going to the full depth because we can find etc. But in some situations we're driving that down to a metre deep, and we're collecting about 16 cores every hectare just for nutrition.
And a nice fast track for potassium. The one about it.
If any of those are out of kilter and not correct, first of all the crop won't grow very well, and second of all the nutrition won't come.
A nice Amazon cultivate on there.
We'll talk about the end produce in a moment.
So this piece of kit has got dual purpose as well. We also test for things like PCN, potato cyst nematode. So for today's purposes, that's like a small little worm, and that attaches itself to potato root and makes him off that potato root. Potato doesn't like it because it's sapping all the energy out of it. So we go around, and with that type of sampling, we're then doing 50 of these cores per hectare. The hectare being 100 metres by 100 metres square. So for the youngsters amongst us, we've just done a 100-metre race at school. That square is a hectare, and we'll be taking 50 of those cores. The machine's also got tracks on, a lot of potatoes grown in the bed, bottom of the wash, deep peaty soils, and when they're wet, they're proper wet, so that keeps us on top. It collects the soil in a bucket, and then we send that off to a laboratory. So bags and bags of soils as business specific. So the quarter of million of those bags will send to the farmer. Basically give the farmer a clear understanding on how his field is going to perform with the growth of the crop, in this case barley. So the next demonstration we do very kindly from PEX, the latest JCB Fast Track, which is a story in its own right. 220 horsepower, the model 4220 with a Sereno 300 Super cultivator on the back. Now let's just talk about what's happening here. JCB, Derbyshire, again a UK manufacturer. Nobody else in the world has a tractor like this.
One of my favourite tractors.
British engineering. It was a tractor designed back in the late 80s. It's a transport facility as well as a field tractor. So behind we've got the Serrano, and if we go back to, we talked about preparing a field. So if we're August, September of last year, what we're now doing is simulating going through the stubble with a cultivator. We obviously can't put the tines in the ground here. You can imagine what's happening if it was lowered down into the ground. The tractor would be pulling this piece of machinery at a higher speed, because what we're looking to do is to get what we call a soil mix. So we're taking the stubble, last year's crop, what was left, we're mixing it in with the soil with the field, and we're preparing the soil and the ground ready to be drilled with our barley seed. You can see a roller on the back of this machine. What we're looking to do here is, once we've mixed the soil, we're looking to put a little bit of compression back on the ground, because what we want is water retention. We want to retain the moisture, because ultimately we need actually then going to plant the seed. Okay, we're going to plant our barley seed. Top Gun driving,
nice.
Here we go.
Case Puma doing the drilling. Got possum to drill on that.
So very kindly donated to us for this demonstration program from Nicholson's, Salem Engineering, the Nicholson's family. We've got the Case 240. This tractor would be manufactured in Austria. And we've got a Pointer 3-metre drill trail behind on a 3-point linkage. So what's happening here? Again, we can't put the machine down to the ground, obviously, for obvious reasons. But you can see as the machine passes you, we've got a configuration of different wheels. The first wheels are like a cutting disc. So they're cutting into the soil, they're preparing, if you like, the soil ready to receive the seed. Again, in normal conditions, this tractor would be travelling at a faster speed. We'll let the tractor turn around and we'll just explain a little bit more what's going on. So behind the discs we've got some press wheels, and then we've got some coulters that are going to cut a trench, basically in simple terms, to inject the seed into the ground, obviously into a nice level seed bed.
Normally
And
they'd be doing
behind
a
them we've
3-point
got
turn.
some press wheels, which is just going to compress the seed. Just compress the seed in the ground again for moisture retention.
Technically doing
This
the
drill is
plant.
what we call a double hopper. So we've got a double hopper, so we've got one side of the hopper will be containing our barley seeds,
but the other side of the hopper will be contained fertiliser. So what we're doing is actually putting
Drilling Germany
fertiliser
style.
placed with the seed. So as the seed germinates, it's actually got some food to get the
tramlines all over the place.
And just add on to that, so those of you that had a touch and feel of the barley itself, typical seed rate, if you imagine a metre square, we'd be planting 250 to 300, depending on the soil type, of seeds per first metre square. So on this particular drill, it's calibrated, it knows the weight of those seeds, and evenly distribute those on the coulters at the back and slot the seed in, so that you've got 250 seeds per square metre. When they then grow, obviously the plant has many stalks, but this one here, as we call it, the top where all the grain is, I've just counted there's 32 in there, so I think that's what ends up on.
Next up we have a gorgeous fin, Vario 618.
Of others in that multiplication of, like I said, about 300 seeds a square metre. From our sponsors Sterling and Standard, we've got the latest vent, together with a KB hoe on the back, a weeder, a mechanical weeder. So, moving forward, there's other ways we're saying that we can try and keep the crop clean from weeds. If we use the crop sugar beets, I'm diversifying from barley at the moment, use another crop because Norfolk is a big participant of growing the crop sugar beet. If you go back in time, once the sugar beet was planted and it started to grow, the individual farmers and the farm workers actually used to go and hoe all the weeds out by hand with a hand hoe, like a garden hoe. And it all used to be done by hand because at the time there was no other real mechanisation that keep the weeds at bay. And also there was no precision seeding at the time. So if you got two seeds close to each other and both germinated, one had to go to let the other one grow. It all made sense. So here we have a mechanical hoe, if you like, putting it in simple terms. But what's special about this, and we've talked about technology, and Stuart's referred about technology already, it's got a camera, or cameras. So it's looking down the row, it's identifying which one is a weed and which is a crop, and as you can see, it will lift up or down accordingly to whether it needs to kill that weed. Okay, I'm going to hand over to another colleague in a minute because we've got another specialist piece of equipment to talk about. But probably first, it's easier for...
Next up we've got a John Deere 6R 155
You want to look at this machine
with a
we always want to keep healthy,
962 square.
And if we're feeling unwell, we go and see a doctor. We take the appropriate prescribed medicine. If we go abroad, we're perhaps advised to have various types of vaccine. COVID comes to mind, vaccines, hopefully to keep us healthy, using that as an example. So, one way to look at this machine is to think it's a big syringe, okay? A vaccine machine, okay? Carla's going to explain the technical side of that, how it works, what it does, but probably get you thinking of a vaccine machine helps you to understand where we're going with this. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Chris. Well, I'd just like to introduce Jamie, our vegan driver. In a John Deere 6R155 with 6,000 litre syringe on the back with 72 nozzles facing. So as Jamie now unfolds our sprayer boom, this will go out to a width of 36 metres. This particular one has got the option to come down to 24, so that's half the width of a football pitch or a rugby pitch. So as Jamie will unfold, you'll see the boom unfolds evenly across. There's 5 sensors on this boom, which is designed to keep the crop or keep the boom level above the crop, and follow the contours of the ground, which will just demonstrate to you in a the movement of the boom. Now you'll see the outer sections unfolding, which will take it out from 24 to 36. Now as Jamie's unfolded this boom has got what we call variable geometry levelling on it. So we're lucky here in Norfolk, we're quite flat, but as we have to go through some different terrains and hillsides and many things, these booms will follow the ground, and either a wingtip will go up or a wingtip will go down, which you'll now see as Jamie just demonstrates from there. So he'll have a little smile on his face from that side. So like I said, from one end to the other there's 72 nozzles, 50 centimetres spacing, all designed to give an even coverage of chemical or liquid crop care. So as you'll just see, what we can do is we can turn the nozzles on, one side or the other. There we go. There's a section turned on. Across the whole boom width, on an average, we're looking to apply something like 150 litres across, which would be this area of the arena. But also, what we are doing with these, because they could all be individually switched, as we go around the headland, we go up and down the field, we can turn on and off, so we don't under-apply chemical on overlapped area. What Jamie will do now, he'll drop the boom down to give you a demonstration of section, what we call section control. This is all fully GPS, so you see him come round the corner a minute ago with a yellow dome on the roof. That is bringing in 42 satellite signals into one dome. So that will then allow the tractor to know its precise location, record where crop has been or crop care has been. So from there, but also what it does do is give hands-free steering for the operator as well. Many of you would have travelled here this morning. You can see these lines going up and down the field. They're what we call tram lines. Most of them would have been put in with GPS guidance, and they will be parallel to each other. You try and judge 36 metres parallel on a back up and down pass is near impossible. So that's why we're using GPS to give accurate control, placement of machines, crop care product from there. So within that side you can just make it out, you can see the sections turning off. There's an area in there where we've asked for it to not spray. That's designed to reduce overlap, like I say, to make the machine more efficient when only put product where we want it. But also, just to say, we talked about technology, guidance has been about 20-25 years now. We've been lucky to be one of the first in the marketplace with the GPS guidance, but we take that to another step now. We go to automation, so we can do total hands-free steering around headlands, around field boundaries. But also, this particular machine hasn't got it, but we can have 36 cameras on this boom. So for every metre, we've got a high definition camera looking forward, looking to identify weed crops within a bare soil state to only spray that particular spot. So then we aren't doing a full coverage like we are here now, we're only identifying the weed to target spraying, up to an accuracy of about 98%, which then helps us to reduce the crop protection products that we're using, reduce costs, and again, like Stuart says, enhance the overall margin of what we're trying to do. So, with Jamie just passed through, you can see the width. Sadly, we haven't got a lot of room in here to swing 36 metres about, but Jamie will just fold up and then pass on to Chris in a minute. But going on from where Stuart was, after he had been and sampled his field, he drilled the field with our barley crop, he placed seeds at the particular soil type. He's using satellite imagery to look at the growth of that plant, to then predict what area needs more food, what needs more nutrients across there. He can then produce a variable map. We can beam that into the tractor all fully wirelessly now. no need for data transfer with USB sticks or anything like that. And then this product, this machine will go out, spray across that area, and only put the product where we want it, not where we don't, where it's going to enhance the growth of the crop from that side. So, as Jamie just popped up, we've fed the crop, we've nurtured the crop through till now really. So then we'll have Chris carry on the story of our harvest.
Thank you very much, Carl. So that brings us from September, shall we say, last year to June, July this year. And being practical now, so if I go and look at some crops, and I'm sure if you're interested, you've looked to see what's happening in the fields around you. If we look at the winter barley crop, in most cases very yellow. The head is what we call knuckled over, probably a little bit earlier this year because of the weather we've had. And it wouldn't surprise me in Norfolk next week, once we've got the Norfolk Show out of the way, there's going to be 1 or 2 combines rolling. Hence the introduction.
Here comes the star of the show, my model combine.
So just
Wow, Lexion 8700. 626 horsepower. The 40-foot Combio header on that.
That was built in the 1940s. If we wind all the guards off that K600, and we wind all the guards off this machine here, it would be a lot of common componentry. In other words, the way that we thrash the crop, in other words, separate the seed from the stem of the plant through what we call a thrashing drum and a concave, you will find the same in the class to what you will in the case. And predominantly, the majority of combines work on the same principle. So Class is a company, a German-based company. There's an importer and subsidiary business based at Bury St Edmunds with outlets right across the country. Your nearest one here being Durham. And we're very kind and we thank you to Class for loaning the machine and the driver for the demonstration today. As I say, Lexion 8700, one model above the 8800. So this is operating on the cutter bar at the front, a 1230 which is metric, roughly 40 foot. So again, going back to the little case combine, that was 10 foot. So you can see the difference already in outputs. So as the combine goes across, you can see that we've still got the scissor principle at the front, a reciprocating knife, which cuts the stem towards the bottom. It conveys the crop, the stalk, and the head or the ear of barley to the centre of the cutter bar, then into what we would call the conveyor. The conveyor then introduces that crop to the thrashing drum, which is a cylinder flying round at speed, rubbing against what we call a concave, and primarily through centrifugal force we are separating the seed from the stem of the plant. The seed is then conveyed up into what we call the grain tank. So we're now simulating with this combine that the grain tank is full. The grain tank capacity on this machine is 15,000 litres. It's roughly going to be about 12-13 tonnes. And we're going to unload that in about 90 seconds. So we're now simulating unloading. So from full to empty within 90 seconds. So we really need a good trailer tractor driver working beside the combine, which we've got professional Top Gun Carl here today, very kindly from the company Ernest & Son. And he's driving a New Holland 340 horsepower tractor.
Oh, it's a Tijon 240.
In Austria, but part of the Ford,
it is my favourite tractor.
Basel and Essex is also a big factory there.
What's a 300?
And he's towing a trailer, 16
My favourite
trailer,
tractor.
in this case made by Richard Weston, another local company, Framlingham in Suffolk, in Shearing country. So as I've said already, it's the seed that is important to the customer. And just to finish the story about the combine harvester, we're obviously collecting the seed in the grain tank, transferring it across to the trailer, which is taken back to the farm for storage, and then ultimately Mr. or Mrs. Farmer is going to sell that seed to a merchant, and that's where your barley is either going into, shall we say, the drinks chain, which might be your beers, for example, your end. But just remember, these machines, these guys put food on your table. So when you go to ask them, because they're going to pull in a lay-by, they know they shouldn't get bitches in traffic behind them. Give them a pip, give them a wave, give them a thank you. We're going to do one more circle. We thank you for your time.
Massey 135.
Use the rest of the day to find out where your food comes from. Everybody, every stand here is interested in talking to you, education. Some of you might be looking for jobs in the industry, questioning what careers you should go into. If you look at agriculture and the big wide family of agriculture, whether it be engineering, IT, physics, science, everything is there within the industry. Find the people, ask them, talk to them, because there is, I will be honest with you, a shortage of people in our industry now, and ultimately that's where your food comes from. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, and may you enjoy the rest of your day at the Royal Norfolk Show. Thank you.
Case 240 Puma. Puma 240 right. Nice. Fence 618. A nice John Deere 6R 155. Here's my favourite. Fingers crossed I see one of these this year. Now we've got my favourite tractor. New Holland T7 340. Want the model of that? That's some fantastic agriculture display, folks. Back for more soon. Well, we're back again, folks. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing so far. I know I certainly am. And we're back with the tour. And here we have a Fendt 930 Vario. Obviously got 3 Fendts on display today. One you just now seen in the agriculture display, the 618. We've got this one, the 930, and we have this one coming up. It's got a Claydon drill on that as well. Yep, got a side-on view there. And here we have the biggest Fent on display this year. It's a 939 Vario. I've got a model of the 942, but I do want the 939 as well. And the 1050 obviously. We have a nice little side-on view. Got a little mower on the front. JCB next. It's got just spotted a couple of cows. Hence the cows in a minute actually. Right after JCB. Here we have a gorgeous black JCB Fast Track 4220. Said the 422 is popular. There's another one, but it's a sprayer version. First time I've seen one of these. Right, made to JCB now. We have a 435S loader. Massive loader there. We swing round. We have another one of my models, a Agri Extra telehandler. Advertising PEX. Now, I did a farming demonstration from PEX a few weeks ago. Hope you managed to watch that. And they're doing a grass cutting demo down at North Tuddenham. And again we have another 4220 Icon. They are popular. However, my favourite fast track is this one, obviously. It's the 8330. Hardly seen about Norfolk though. Or should I say, I'm yet to see one apart from at the show. Well, this is something I've been wanting at the Norfolk Show for a long while. And after 4 years of asking, I have a Dootsvar tractor. It's a 6230 TTV Agritron Warrior with a massive shit wall upon it. So after 4 years, I finally got a Dootsvar tractor at the Norfolk Show. I do have one in my village. I wonder if that is the one, because that's also a 6230, so just wondering if that is the one what's in the village. There's the front of it. Gorgeous. Right, we're heading over to animals now, folks. And then after that it will be the last bit of the tractor session. Well, the tractor's part of the tour anyway. We've also got some sheep shearing to come as well. So stand by for that. So heading over to the cows next, and then the sheep, and then we're going to sheep shearing. So stay tuned. More tractors soon though. Back again. Got some cattle now.
And that fucking last one we did ain't fucking easy.
Enjoying the high life. Laying down, being fanned on. How cute is that? Now we come on to the sheep. Trying to bit by that handle. You're cute, aren't you?
Hello, precious.
It's the first time I've seen a sheep the same colour as a cow.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you very much indeed. Well done.
You're just posing for the camera, aren't you? You're cute. Got some long head sheep now. They must be absolutely cooked on the day, like so.
I'd like to introduce our shearer, Tilly. Here she is, look. And another wave. Give him another wave. Tilly's just getting a few more sheep into the pen to try and, if we can keep the pen a bit fuller, it helps with the heat within the wool. And the sheep then, if they're warm, they tend to shear a lot better. So we're just trying to keep the pen full. Tilly has come to demonstrate the Bowen method of sheep shearing for you at the show this year, as per. And Tilly is a contract shepherd. She works down in Ipswich, and that's where her home is. She's got a few sheep of her own, and Tilly is sort of one of our up-and-coming shearers in the area. She's done, what was the last course she went on to?
Wales, recently. At the Three Counties.
So Tilly went to the Three Counties show, where she was doing a sheep shearing competition there. Doing the sheep ladies novice competition at the Three Counties show. So was that representing Suffolk, or was that just representing you? Just you, just Tilly. So anyway, Tilly's going to demonstrate the Bowen method of shearing. And the first things that she looks at with the sheep, you see that she's brought the sheep out of the pen, and this happens with every single sheep that we shear. She just pulled it out backwards and she's just tilted its head, and the sheep is sat down on its backside there, which is the position to which we will start shearing. As you can see, the sheep isn't sitting upright, it's not sitting on its bum bones, it's actually sitting on its bum cheek, which allows it to feel more comfortable, and it's slightly off balance. If the sheep get balanced in when you're shearing, you find that they'll go, oh hello, I can get away from here. So what we try to do is keep them slightly unbalanced, and then we can allow them to move around into the positions that we need for shearing in the Bowen method. And as we go through the first sheep, you'll see that Tilly's opened up on the belly. In her right hand, you've got the handpiece, the shearing machine, which has got two sets of blades, the combs and the cutters, working like lots of little scissors in there and cutting the wool as it goes across the body. And her left hand is there just to steady the sheep. The left hand isn't there to move the sheep around. A lot of the movement is done through your legs. So you're holding the sheep with your legs. You saw the way that she's holding the head now between her knees, keeping the toes pointing in and holding the sheep in there nicely. And it's nicely bent over, trying to keep it in a nice curve. And that way it keeps the skin nice and tight. Because when Tilly's finished this one, we can just show you what would happen. You can see where she's got a hand in the side of the sheep here, keeps that leg nice and straight, so that she can get right underneath there onto those curves and feel the shape of the sheep underneath there. There we go. Let's have a round of applause for that one. That was a good shear. Come take the wool, and there's a knack to picking up the wool, and the way that you pick it up, and the way you can throw a fleece out. And what it does, it allows the wool to be presented with the outside up to start with. And what Tilly has done is roll both sides in, rolling it up into a nice little cotton roll here. And that gives a good presentation of the wool to these guys who are next to us, the wool board, because when it goes from us, we then sell it as farmers to the wool board. And then it's for the wool board, they will then, each of these fleeces is individually graded out, and we get money price per kilo of wool that we've got here. And what we'll do at the end, and what these guys have been doing this morning, is we'll weigh one of these fleeces and see who can guess what the weight is, and then we'll work out how much it's worth as well. So again, sheep's out of the pen, Tilly's opening up on the belly. You'll see that she's using her left hand to keep that skin tight on the belly, because again, as the sheep is tucked over, it gets wrinkled and you're more prone to cutting the skin, which we're trying to avoid obviously at all times. And when she's got that belly wool away, we throw it to one side, and that is done so that it doesn't get tangled up around the shearer's legs as they move the sheep round. And at this point, she's just trying to get past the tail and the backbone here, because if you don't get far enough round underneath there, when you come to do the final blows, the sheep is actually sitting on the wool. And then you can't cut it, and there you are messing about, bent over, with your back hurting, struggling, trying to get those last bits of wool off so that they don't run off with a little tag on them. So we're just trying to give a good clean shear. So as Tilly's got there, in the position she is, she's holding the sheep with her right leg here, a little bit of pressure on the front chest here, and that's keeping that sheep just on balance. And as you can see, the sheep is nicely arched, the head comes down, and that's just to keep the head down. But this sheep is trying to struggle a little bit. You can see that she's starting to move about. But as a shearing, you just keep shearing, keep going through whatever the sheep is trying to do to you. The left foot is now right underneath the sheep's shoulder, right underneath there, and it's acting like a wedge to try and stop the sheep from rolling back up again and getting away from you. It keeps them slightly off balance, as I said before. And then on that shoulder, just lifting the leg up, and from the top here to the finish should get off in about 9 blows. A blow being each time you put the comb and cutter across the face of the sheep. And there again, you can see the wrinkles in the side of the sheep there, and that's what the left hand is to do, is to try and keep that skin nice and tight. So the shearers, as they're going round the sheep in the Bowman method, is to keep the comb, which is the bottom piece, is Tilly has 59 blows to get across the sheep, or should be. We aren't going to count today. So about 59 times you should go across the sheep to get right the way round on a normal size sheep. So again, once we get to this point, the belly wool has gone back into the fleece. If there's any dags, any dirt, any muck from the sheep, any brambles, nettles, straw, all that sort of thing, that actually downgrades the wool. So whilst it's being wound up like this, they take all of this out, so that when it goes across the wool board, and when they come to inspect it, they'll downgrade the value of the wool. So we want to try and keep it as clean as possible. So again, just see how Tilly tilts the head of the sheep there. The sheep is now sitting on its bottom, and she's just slowly dragging it out using the head and the wool. And what you notice on these sheep is that they are ready to be shorn. The wool has started to come away from round their chin, the belly wool has started to fall off, and hence it shows us that these young sheep are ready to be shorn. And once they've been shorn, because it's the first time they have been shorn in their life, and they will now become shearlings and go into the flock, ready for breeding in the autumn, going to the tups, which then and then to join the main flocks. But just while Tilly's sort of shearing through this sheep, the reason for why we take the wool off the sheep, well, yes, it's a very warm day, as we can feel now. It's quite late in the season for us to be shearing. Time is getting away for the job. But normally this time of year, when we start shearing, if the weather is good, like it has been this year, we'll start shearing sheep in April, which will be either the ewe hogs or these are the ewe hogs going into shearlings, or the ewe lambs, if we're going to take the wool off them as well. Moving on into the breeding flocks, and later on into the year for the later lambing flocks. But the main reason for doing this is for husbandry, for us as farmers. And the reason we're taking the wool off is because we get something known as fly strike. Now, fly strike is something that we get with the sheep, and that's where the flies go and lay their eggs in the wool, which then, if not taken care of, hatch into maggots. The maggots then crawl all over the body of the sheep, and as you can imagine, they then feed off the sheep, and it's very detrimental and life-threatening for them. So by taking the wool off, it's one way of preventing those things to happen. But also, up until now, these sheep have had a fly repellent put on them, which keeps those flies off and allows us as farmers to program in timings to getting the wool off our sheep. And once the wool is grown back, give it 4 to 5 weeks, we'll then be putting another pour-on onto them, which will then hopefully see them through the rest of the summer and keep them free of fly strike. But as we said, we were talking about the product wool. How many people in here have got a wool jumper? How many of you guys have got a wool jumper? Like to see? Two. So we've got 2 people out of how many we've got here? 50 people who are actually using this fantastic product called wool. Okay? It is brilliant. It is. I'll go through some of the facts of what we've got here and why wool is fantastic. And these guys over here in the wool board have got a lot more they can tell you about wool. So when we're finished, have a chat with those guys. But the quality of wool we look at is the length of that. It's called the staple, and the length of the fibre of wool, and then the fineness of that wool will tell us how good that wool is. So your fine wools, like your merino wools, your merino jumpers. One of the main markets for our wool is going into carpets and such like. But this wool is sustainable. We cut it off, it grows again. It's as simple as that. It's something that is good carbon sequestration. This wool that we have here as a product is 50% carbon. We are locking up carbon, which is good, should we not say. And I got this little fact sheet from these guys down here, and I will get back to you, Tilly, I haven't forgotten you. I'm going on. So wool, 100% natural fibre. So when we're shearing the wool and everything else, we want the wool to be dry. So when we pack it away in the wool bags that we've got here, it does, if it's wet or damp, it will rot and go mouldy and will become useless. So we need to have dry wool when we're shearing. It's durable. Those people who put their hand up, was it comfortable? Yeah, wool is very comfortable. Traceable, we know where that came from. It was off that sheet in there. Okay? We've got something that's fire retardant. It's very difficult to set fire to wool. Very difficult. Warm, sustainable, and as I said about carbon, and the other thing that it does slightly do, which I sort of, with the price of wool, but we'll come on to that when we weigh one, but it's a byproduct of farming and of the industry that we've got with sheep. So this is a byproduct to do with the husbandry work that we're doing. So back to how Tilly's getting on. Is the sweat running yet? Yeah, she says yes, it's warm. It's warm. And again, final blows that she's coming to here. You know, I talked about getting far enough around the sheep on the first blows. If you're not there, at this point, that's when you can't get underneath the wool and cut it, and you're in a muddle. And by the time you've got around the sheep, your back is starting to ache and it's starting to be hard work. So what we're trying to find is at that stage, you just want to get on, get rid of that wool and get on to the next sheep. So how many of that? That's 4. So again, folding the sides in, trying to give a good presentation of the wool that we've got, and trying to give it to these guys next door to say, yeah, that's a good quality of wool and we'll pay you. You guys all right? You all heading on? There goes Barford School. My favourite school. Where's little Isla? She was there somewhere. So onto the last sheep. How Tilly there just twists the head round and the sheep sits down nicely for her. Dragging the sheep out, so the sheep comes to the same place every time. So as we take them out of the shearing trailer, sit them down, again, starting in the same place, going across the belly, and just opening up here, being very careful of the teats, they use where they're going to milk when they are breeding, so we mustn't nick them, we've got to be very careful. And what you can see here is actually something that will downgrade our wool. There's 2 things there, is that we've got a little bit of colour on the wool, which we won't be able to make it into any other colour apart from black wool. So unfortunately that downgrades the market and where we can possibly put the wool. And also, if it's got a bit of hair in it as well, which different breeds do, it's not such good quality wool. So that's one of the other things. These guys might tell you a bit more about that. Look at that, thumbs up. There, I like that. So the belly wool has come off. Tilly's now working the sheep round, holding the sheep with her right leg. And she's getting onto the long blows. This is where we like to get through The sheep is held with the left foot underneath her shoulder, underneath the sheep's shoulder, and the sheep is in nicely stretched round. So she's trying to keep the skin tight by holding the sheep in a nice arc, in that C shape all the time. Keeps the skin tight, and you can just get across the sheep nice and easy, keeping those blades nice and full, so that we get as much wool in every pass that you're going around the sheep. And then getting to the other side of the backbone. When she's got past the backbone, you'll see that she's pulled the head up, and the head will then go between her legs. She's holding the sheep's head with her knees now, not with her hands, and it's her legs. As she slowly draws the sheep back, it brings the face up of where she's cutting the wool from, and some nice arcs there, right down the leg. And what you can do at those stages, if you've got big sheep, is bring the head right through, so you then cradle them into your legs. But her toes are just underneath the sheep, and it just stops the sheep from rolling away from you. Onto that final blow. Well done. Very nice and tidy. Anyone want a haircut? Any kids want a haircut? Yeah, I know. No, we better pick on mine, I suppose. And then the wool thrown out again. Roll the sides in. I'm rolling it up from the tail end to the head, and the neck wool is probably the finer wool that you have on the body, rather than the wool at the back side of the sheep, and giving it that nice presentation. So now we're going to just have a look at the fleeces and try and work out how much one of these fleeces weighs. Have we got any kind...
Well folks, well, we're back with the Tour de Park again, and more tractors. We've got the final leg of the tractors now, because we're at Ernest Doe for New Holland and Case. We end with the biggest tractor here on display. Here we have a New Holland T7, looks like a 275, is that? I'll just double check. No, it's a 225. Gorgeous, it's another model I want in my collection. Here we have a Case Puma 175. Here's a sprayer. Sadly no New Holland Combine this year. They do have the New Holland 1290 big baler, which I've got the model of. I've got T7 245 as well.
Yes, the capable of it. Who's never done it yet? But if you want, yeah, we'll certainly do this.
Last one for New Holland now. It's a T6 155 with a head trimmer. See that T6 155 quite a lot in the village. Got some Case tractors now to finish. Here we have a 185 Puma. Gorgeous. Nice side-on view there. I have just spotted a couple of McCormicks behind me as well, so I'll go and get them before we finish. But I'm finishing on the biggest tractor here, so I've got a massive plough, although not the biggest plough I've seen. Looks like a 6-fower. Got a massive cultivator there. I do like my implements. Essential items in farming. Here we have my second favourite tractor, a Case 300 Optum. Got a model of that. Got two Optums here. Get the other one in a minute. So we're heading round to get McCormick while I'm round this way. And this side. So. And there's the Case version of the New Holland big baler, the LB324. So I've got a couple of McCormicks on display today. An X6413. Little side on view there. What I have been let down with this year though is Massey's. No Massey Ferguson this year. There's a front on view of it. Here we have the biggest McCormick on display this year, an X7624. It's the first time McCormick have been here since 2022, so it may have been replaced by Massey in the past 2 years, so McCormick's turn this year, I suppose. Obviously not forgetting a front view. Right, two more tractors to get. Right, I said Case I bought two Optums, here's the other one. So it is my second favourite tractor. But it's not a patch on the biggest tractor here. Are you ready for this? It wins by 5 horsepower, and I've got to step back for this. And here it is, the Case 645 quad track. A beast of a tractor. There you go, bit better view of it. I'll get a front view in a minute. And there is the beast, 645 horsepower. The biggest tractor on show this year. We're heading over to the Grand Ring, folks, for the final part of the day. It's the marching band to end. Join us for that in a minute. More soon. Well, if you're still with me, hope you enjoyed this as much as I have. We end the day with the marching band.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the first day of the Royal Norfolk Show 2025 comes to an end, and our thanks to all the members of the Duke of York's Royal Military School marching band. We trust that you've had an enjoyable day. We do your already have tomorrow. So those things you really enjoy, please make your way to the band. There's a lot going on all the way around the showground, lots of different things to see, so we do look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and please all have a safe journey home.
Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll bring you more soon, hopefully harvests. Mr. Sean signing off on the Royal Norfolk Show for 2025. It's been a fantastic one. Goodbye from me and goodbye from him. Goodbye.